Okay, so good evening, everybody. Welcome back to our intro, the show
Good evening, everybody.
with Kenneth and myself, Lakan. As it is every Tuesday evening from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., we are hosting our conversation, Ken, our personal views, our personal perspective on everyday issues and
And these
matters.
are the views of us and no organization represent anything. We can clear that disclaimer.
There's a disclaimer. We talking on our own behalf, and we trying not to be
represent nobody today, but we serve.
but ourselves. And so Ken, good evening. What's the plan, brother? Let me see if I
Dave, going easy, literally budget and trying to get us so keen. But you know, the amount of budget I leave, I ain't even a room to so keen again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, you know, kind of what's kind of busy with the budget these days.
Yeah, but I don't know if the budget had the same significance as maybe in the past. So, in fact, I don't see the reason why they're giving so much importance to the budget, in my opinion. Budget is a exercise in forecasting and matching revenue with expenditure. And this year, I think we're still running a deficit budget over 3 billion, which I don't feel might be a deficit because the oil price goes as what it says. You know, and I think they may have a surplus. I don't know. You know.
Yeah.
But the whole, I think at $92, this year's budget was projected on.
You heard the, I don't know, I didn't hear the price of oil or gas, but I think it's about 60.2 billion or something.
No, well, I know what they're pegging it at about $92 barrel for oil.
How much?
$92, 92.
Okay.
But I am saying sometimes they put oil, peg it at a high price. So in order to add money to, I could be wrong, in order to add money to the stabilization fund, you must exceed that. If you don't exceed it, the government have access to it. Because if you say they went at $80 barrel oil and they make $12 profit, well, increase. They could only they can't touch that percent and that must go to the stabilization fund. But I stand to be corrected. I'm not perfect, but that is my thinking about, because based on oil revenue, a certain percentage on the surplus goes to the stabilization fund.
Yeah.
So when you peg it high and if you drop low, you still have a room to use it.
No, well, based on what I have been hearing from the analysts and them, you're right.
You know, so I could be wrong. But I say you hear information, you kind of collaborate in the statement. So let us go and say it is correct, you know? You know, and then again, I said before, is the US dollar the best thing for us to store wealth in? You know?
No, but before you go to that, I'm trying to send all these links, so I kind of take it up. So I apologize.
I you know, I'm going to savings and wealth. I'll give a simple example about people saving for the children and grandchildren. Years ago, our TT dollar was $4.29 to a US. And Mr. Manning, the Prime Minister at that time, called a special parliament meeting. I think it would have been either Good Friday or Glorious Saturday. And they amended, I don't know if they call it the monetary policy or the act pertaining to the currency and devalue at 35% devaluation in dollar. And just by the stroke of a pen or fellas voting in parliament, you lose 35 cents on every dollar of the wealth you're leaving for your children and grandchildren. And I am saying with the same thing with the US dollar, because right now we're not pegged to gold. So the American, whatever you call them, central bank or whoever I can't remember they had the power to print money. Because years ago,
Federal Reserve.
Richard Nixon, the link from gold and you say that temporary measure for the money supply. And they took a decision to link from gold because long ago the US currency was linked to gold. And in order to expand the money market, you had to get more gold.
Right.
And if you didn't have more, because remember each dollar you print was pegged to the value of gold that you have in your reserve. You understand?
Yeah.
And they went to a kind of fiat currency, they call it, but not pegged to anything, but to the Federal Reserve have the control of the money supply. Like for
Right.
example, places like Zimbabwe and so on, they started printing money, and after a while, the money wasn't worth the paper it was printed on. Germany went through that same issue, and the currency collapsed. Venezuela, you've seen it with Venezuela right now. There are several countries in Europe going through that same issue, and because you want to print money and you keep printing more and more and more, and the price keep going up and up and up because supply and demand.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
they were hoping the US dollar would have gone back to gold, but it never did. And I see some countries going back to gold. I think Russia is considering it, and maybe some other countries as the pagan currency to gold. But I mean, at least it must have gold, because but America have a lot of gold.
well, this one's a good night to Neil and Hima Ramsahai and those other
Good night,
viewers.
Neil, Rancho Kimaro.
Good night,
and
everybody.
even though Neil say we just talk, sometimes he fall asleep, and I hope tonight he doesn't fall asleep.
Well, at least we're doing something.
Yes, you
Look
know,
like he has
put him to
sleeping problems. At least we helping him with that.
because I don't know if other people are wrong. He must have problem when he's waking.
Oh,
Yeah, so probably we're doing not good.
who's the top viewer? Hima Ramsahai.
Yeah.
They want to know who's the top viewer. Where we top viewer tonight? We have plenty
Oh,
top viewers here.
no, that's Mr. Ramro. Mr. Ramro is on vacation,
Oh, he on vacation from the intro too.
but it appears so. But I don't like to say anything ill about somebody in their absence now. So they can't, he's not in a position to defend himself. So maybe at the next intro and he shows up, we'll ask him to, you know.
To disclose his appearance, his disappearance.
Yeah, his absence.
So back to the topic, the budget, Kenneth. Ken, my problem with budgets, they say the budget is a financial plan.
You try and explain what is our budget for before
Well,
we define. Yeah.
So they say a budget is a financial plan of income and expenditure.
Right. A forecast.
Forecast and projection, whatever you want to call it, but income and expenditure for a particular project
or period,
particular period, or normally for the country, right?
Right, we do in the country in this case, yeah.
In this case is the country, but they also in the past, and I mean, when I listened as a little fella growing up, I used to listen to them reading budget, and it was boring to me. But you used to hear they giving comparison of the last year's budget.
Right.
So they talk plenty, but they give you information.
Right.
And you were able to tell, well, last year we had $57.5 billion projected. We realized 50 billion, 7 billion came from so and so, and they tell you all the 50 billion was spent and so on, what projects they do and things. And then they get that in relation to what they're projecting for this year and so on. And what was realized? I realized there's a new trend from over the last 10 to 15 years, where they stop telling you that, or even more. All it does tell you is what they're going to do for the next year and where they're getting the money from. That is all they're telling you, what they're projecting to do. They don't give you any report as to what was done in last year and what was accomplished. When I say what was done, how much money was spent and what was accomplished in the last year. And to me, as you rightly say, what's the sense having this being read out to the public just to tell us how much money you're going to spend? And at the end of the day, we don't know if you actually spend it or not. Because they're not telling you. They're just projecting it. And you and I know from, there is something called projections and releases.
Yeah.
And
where you project and where you get.
We project and we actually get. Because we could project 4 million for the first quarter, but you're only getting 1 million. And the budget may say you are allocated, let's say the Ministry of Housing that they're talking about is being provided $1.5 billion to boost that whole 3 companies to try and set up there. But that would be projecting. But who's to say how much it actually give? When would we see that? When do we hear that? Do we have to go and read some big financial report to decipher that out? And
but I think poor people don't want to read that enough. you just feel it in the atmosphere. There's something about if the country doing well, you just feel the vibes. You feel the vibes in the sense. You see road happening, people spending money, money circulating then. And once money not circulating, money like water, if it is circulating, it gets stagnant, it gets infected. But once it's circulating, people buying, people selling, people, whatever they entertaining, they're taking on the family, whatever they're doing, you sort of feel the vibration in the country. You're not feeling that. And I want to go back to this thing about budget and about, I'm looking at the aspect of creating wealth. And let me say a budget, it's just like in a home. If you get $1,000 for the month, a percentage of that $1,000 already spent, it has something, you have no choice, you have to pay for it, water, lights, maybe internet, maybe food, maybe what certainly must be spent on. And then what is remain is really the key thing. Would you use it to save? Would you use it at home for capital investment? Are you going to build something to add more value to the house? Or things like that then. So you either go for capital investment or you might go for intellectual investment. Probably you put aside some money for trying to go to university or something. But most of the people will either have a capital investment or they might have some money extra for recreation and so on. But you need to expense those things that you must pay for.
No, I understand all you're saying there, Ken.
Right, and then now, so let me say with government, I mean, you check the amount of things that they say they must pay for. And subsidy is one of my big issue. I mean, I know some countries, people say, but you could only have subsidy if you're earning wealth.
Now, where are we earning wealth from?
Because of the Ukraine war. So if the Ukraine war doesn't go on for long, what's going to happen next year? When people get accustomed to all these subsidies.
Yeah.
Because the government say they borrow about $30 billion to pay public servants. You don't ever borrow money to pay salary. I know they say there might be a social implication that they had no choice, people had to get a salary and so on. But in the private sector, a lot of people didn't get paid during COVID.
So
a lot of people lose their job and they never got it back.
So you're telling me is they borrowed $30 billion to pay salaries over the last 2 years?
Yeah, that would say,
yeah. You believe that, Kenneth?
And I would say I wouldn't say yes or I wouldn't say no, but as you say, they didn't talk about what was the income last year and what was the expenditure, and if there were any savings or if they had a deficit budget and where they funded from. And I just people talk budget big, it's just like a home, And if you want to spend more than you're earning, you have to borrow. And you wouldn't borrow it for food and clothes, you'll borrow it for capital investment. So that you add back value or you could generate money from it. You might back up because you needed to go to work, because it'll be cheaper, or you use it for something, but you'll do that capital investment for a purpose.
I somehow I can't believe $50 billion, right?
Look at, for instance, we're paying $1.4 billion for subsidy on fuel, right? And the government only provide transportation assistance for 10% of the population. You understand? That $1.4 billion in gas subsidy. They spend about millions, about a few $100 million for the boat to sustain the boat to Tobago.
Yeah.
How much money they spend on the plane to sustain just going to Tobago? Because sometimes when I hear Tobago say they didn't get what they wanted in the budget, when you check the amount of money has been spent to manage the sea bridge, and all that subsidy. I'm saying if we had an efficient public transport, whether it's PTSC or you get private sector involvement, I am certain if it is safe, it is efficient, it is comfortable, it is clean, I think people will use public transport.
You see, my issue is the perception of this state, this government, this country is that government is not reliable. The services, they're not reliable. If you look at water, for example, The supply of
They spend
water is
about
not
$2 billion
reliable.
subsidizing water in Alara.
Listen to this. You're looking at transportation. Sometimes it's just not reliable. Now, if people was assured, no matter how much billions you spend in transportation, people were assured that they will get a bus at 10 o'clock every
Right.
morning, and they had that
Right.
confidence in the system.
Not
Then
only the bus, a clean bus,
both,
a efficient, yeah,
but what I'm saying is
safe
safe and reliable.
and clean.
Clean.
Clean is an important thing, you know what I mean?
Clean, safe, and reliable. You
Yeah.
have an efficient, clean, safe, and reliable transport system. And people build that trust in that system that they know, like clockwork, the bus will come. Whether a bus shut down or not, a bus going to be there on time. You could put that in your app, you could put in a tracking system,
All
and sit
kind of
down in your
things.
house and you see how far the bus reach.
And you walk down by the terminal.
And you walk down by the
Or the
stop.
bus stop, wherever. Yeah.
If you have systems like that, and I'm telling you, you could invest the whole $60 billion in that system. In the first year, nobody in using it. In the second year, they might start to use it. In the third year, then they might get the confidence because it's consistent.
But Lara was saying, if it's comfortable, say you go to Citygate, every time you see you go to a bus terminus, and to the bus terminus, you can get a nice, maybe one of those high-end coffee. You can have stores. You could spend so much time on that compound, and like if it is a state-of-the-art place, people will go to it because it will be like a mall. It will generate income. It will generate business. It will move people. But it must be an organism, then it must be efficient. And it must, when you step under that bus and you feel clean, AC nice, place millennial, nice, people welcoming, like if it's an airline, a lot of people going to enjoy it's not the bus service selling it, it's the experience.
Yeah.
And when you know you could, let me say Port of Spain clean, no vegan, and you could drop it and walk, people will get back walking. Because you see, when you start back the system, people start to say hello to one another again. People will meet one another on the bus lar. This thing with, you see, the 3 hours that I spend in traffic, you start to spend 1 hour instead. Because you have less people on the road. And the service is going to be so much better. People
another key factor, Kenneth, they need to also design parking stations or parking hubs.
Yeah.
So like
you know in Gasparilla, years ago, real people are parked in Gasparilla and take the bus, you know. That spot is a park, I think there's a car park somewhere there.
Yeah, right. When the buses come down, when you're heading south.
And watch out, people look, for instance, the water taxi they charge for that car park, let it be free. You see, people say, why it should be free? But if you get people to park for free and they're riding a bus and they reduce, but the amount of thing you see, when you check man hours that have been losing in traffic, it will pay back for the free car park.
And you might be subsidy you'll be saving too.
Right.
Because people using less fuel.
This is the whole point. So we're not import so much fuel. So you're subsidizing
Mr. Kazo, these are Nicolette Roberts, because you give everybody share the live. Thank you for joining us. But
Lar, I don't blame the government. The people say the government, but it's what people want. And the government see themselves as a 5-year government, and they're doing everything to win the next election. They're in the business of winning election. And the people see it that way too. So I don't blame them. If there's a business in a winning election, they'll do everything to win the election. They are in the business of winning election.
And at the end of the day, is we who encourages. We are the people who allow it to do how it's going and allow it to happen.
Because that is what we put the value of the vote to. We put the value of the vote to get attendees, to get subsidized gas, subsidized trip to Tobago, subsidized plane ticket, subsidize everything. That we were voting for, so that way okay. But it comes with a cost. Don't complain about pothole not fixing. Don't complain about look like till the current will make you more regular than ever before. Don't complain about poor water supply. Because that way you vote for.
So beside then there's another argument that there is a substantial amount of people that didn't vote for that too.
But the system doesn't cater for that. The system is first past the post.
Right.
And who's gonna change the system? As you said last time, we had our 3 occasions to change it and nobody changed it.
Yeah, no. They're not interested in changing it. Because they will lose out when they go there. So they're not interested.
Right. And then it's a keep 2 parties in office. UNCP and them musical chairs. And sometimes some of them like they're happy they're in opposition because they know, well, everybody will get a little thing away. And the country suffering.
Kenneth, you know they're going to be raising electricity, say they have the proper supply and water it by 10%.
This is the whole point. But like what I'm saying, why don't we move away from equality to equity? If you take away subsidy and all the money you're saving on subsidy and take care of those who are unable to take care of themselves and help them with a system to bring them on stream, it will cost you less money, plenty less money.
Because we have a
Look at-
culture in this country, whether you have or don't have, the state has to provide.
Right.
That's a culture, that's the way we think, that's our social fabric, that's how we have been. I mean, I born into this, Kenneth.
Yeah. Look at the
I do
education
know-
system.
Mhm.
The government going to put one set of money for remedial. You paying teachers, and to solve the problem, you create a remedial class. Why don't fix the education
Nice
system?
and smaller. Yeah, but according to somebody, they say what they say, if you were to file an injunction to stop people from protesting because they're important, then give them what they need so that they won't protest.
Right? Or let change the system. It must be countries in the world. Let us, I mean, I didn't say to take wholesale from another country because every culture is different, right?
But follow some patterns.
But in some pattern, but give the authority to the community and the principal of the school, run your school. And I'm telling people, if they use a kind of blind welfare model like that, with the board within the community and so on, and you give principal that authority to run the school with certain guidelines and so on, I think we will.
Do you know that how the denomination system is run? They have boards to run the schools.
Right.
And most, I mean, I might be wrong, but most denominational schools perform well.
Yeah.
Only government public schools will perform good.
No, but I have my argument that is, if they get the cream of the crop, they will do well,
No, but I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm talking from primary school. Go up. How is getting
Yeah.
from primary school?
Right. No. Yeah. But I mean, the
primary
bottom
school
line,
go up. You check
they're
all
doing
them
well.
government
Yeah.
primary school and check all them denominational primary school. Watch your pass rate. Watch the level of performance. They do well.
And I go back with equity, inequity again. Look at the education system. Our special ed department in the Ministry of Education, they get less than 20% of their funding. How look, for instance, today I was chatting with somebody and they're saying, the special ed teachers in the system, they're not employing them. They say in the established position, they only have a certain number of teachers for special ed.
Right.
So you have a whole set of teachers trained, yeah, and then you're complaining, oh, you have enough teachers for the children. But you have a whole set of teachers within the community system.
And you have limited positions.
And you have limited positions. It don't make sense. If you expand that, it's just not making sense.
Because
so we're training you to teach teachers for that. What's the reason? If you're not going to employ them, you're fooling people.
Remember they fooling because remember, I think it was earlier this year or last year, they said that they would not accept any new application for teachers.
Right. But mainly it was for special ed teachers. I think they forget to put in the word special ed. We need these special ed teachers in all them early child care center. We need these special ed teachers. Someone will be itinerant.
Mr. Ramru, good night, sir. Hey. Good night. You was if you check back the trend there of chats, somebody was looking out for your presence.
Yeah, there was an accusation.
Yeah. So happy to see that you join us. Good night, sir. But Ken, so the whole thing, you go back to everything on education and this budget thing. I mean, I've been honest, Kenneth, to the viewers and everybody else. I only read the highlights because I find when I was listening to it, it's too much of fluff.
I mean, you really probably I wasn't listening.
Right? So you telling me we talking about education. I hear they want to bring back GATE, percentage of funding for GATE. There's a reason why GATE enrolls fell. Sorry, tertiary education enrolls fell. Yeah. People couldn't afford to pay for tuition.
No. Yeah, correct.
And then there's a lot of people who were not employed.
Yeah.
So even if you're given gate, because you're not unemployed, how you reaching the gate last?
Exactly.
How your children reaching to get clothes to go to school? How they getting the resources required to go to the university? Where they getting the laptop? Where they getting, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
even with the introduction of this, I don't know if it's 50% again, they want to go with gate and or 50 million or something.
Right.
I can't understand if people are unemployed and they can't get the funding to reach out there. Who do you think will the benefit from it, Ken?
Like
Not those who have already.
Gandhi say you can't teach a hungry person about physics and chemistry and you know. So if you're hungry, you get in and you know food and you take your time to study education.
So I yet to see how it's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm happy for it because those who could get it, let it go because we need an educated society. But my problem is the education. I find they should have linked gate funding to a national plan of
Exactly.
what we require to
Yeah.
send the country forward. They
Mhm.
can't be linking gate funding to exactly what happened with UTT and teachers. You have an overwhelming number of people going to train with teachers, but then nobody hiring them.
And then you have a demand for the children to have special ed teachers and they're not getting it.
And you're not
And
getting
talking
it.
inclusive education. So what you're really doing?
Or you have everybody going to do HR, but there's no space for more HR. Like
That's
we
the
just
whole
have
point.
a cycle. The other day, everybody going to do OSHA, health and
Yeah.
safety. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, all the industry slows down.
Yeah.
You know,
You
then
know,
we had to do petrochemical. Then all of a sudden, oil wasn't important. We get rid of petrotrin. We
like,
don't
I
have a
want to
clear
go back to
plan.
budget. I want to go back to budget and what budget, tool of budget is either your monetary policy or fiscal policy is a change behavior. And I wanted the behavior that I know they're trying to change, but they're not using it in the budget. And we want to go back to traffic. The people complain about the roads, how much hours they spend on the road, but you're not using your budget to curb that. I know we spent some time on it just now there on transportation and so on. And we complain about foreign exchange. Everybody want to buy a vehicle. Everybody want to go down the highway one person. You could see it for yourself. Everybody had 2-3 vehicles in. And with this gas prices, some people have vehicle and can't drive it.
And today, we them full gas in our ED wagon. Normally, we just put $200 from about just under quarter tank and we go up to full.
Right.
Today, we put $240
To fill it.
to do almost the same thing.
So
It didn't reach the exact full, it could take more.
right, but you could put aside a $50 extra now you have put for the week.
No, about $60.
Right.
Every full up. Every full up.
Yeah. And for the month, look, we were just talking about somebody who worked with us. The mere fact we just simply took a decision and relocate that person to go to work. That person probably going to $600, $700, $800 for the month, probably. By just one decision we took there then. Right? And same way you're saying, you know, you gotta find like say 6-4 and nearly $250 for the month on a fixed income.
Yeah.
You understand?
So fuel
So
price.
something will have to suffer in the house.
Yeah, but a lot of things have to suffer all over because that is just one aspect. What about that fuel cost is going to cause food price to go up? So now your all those luxury things you tend to buy in the grocery or things that you might think is luxury, that is actually basic. It would have to now cut back. Like something I telling my wife one day, the price of cheese now, Kenneth.
Yeah.
I said, ask her, what would you use cheese for? But have you stop buying that?
You see?
We don't buy much of that.
Yeah.
You know, I remember before.
Oh no, some people take the decision, Larry. If you buy very trend, well, you don't even need.
Yeah, do we need that? Let them eat that alone.
You understand the kind of decision you have to take.
And that's the reality what transportation cost does. Now, we're talking about my gas bill. What about when taxi men raise the fares?
No, but wait for the
cost
gas
to
bill.
reach the work.
Wait, before you go there, let me talk bad road and increase in maintenance. Another thing. So
There's
that will set up the
there's
cost.
another issue too, Ken. They ticketing you to have your vehicle roadworthy. If it's not roadworthy, you are being charged or ticketed or fined for not having your vehicle roadworthy, right?
Mhm.
But is the road worthy to drive on?
That's the whole point.
Some places is gravel road is going back to.
Yeah.
And sometime earlier this year, I heard the Prime Minister saying they set up a paving, is this a paving company, he said, boy?
Yeah, they have a paving company, so no longer Ministry of Works doing it, neither the corporation. And I can give people example. These companies are forming. Remember, just not too long that EFCL.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
happened
yeah.
to EFCL?
They shut down. They
No, it
closed
went
down,
bankrupt.
Yeah.
And again, I'm saying, if you put forward in the schools and the principal and give them the budget to run with, Larry, that people in the village will do things cheaper for the school.
Well, Mr. Kazo commented just now there and said in the app, there's something called district boards, I think he could refer to it as.
Right.
They run the schools and them, but they do implement it. They do use it.
Larry, to suspend a child, the minister to sign off on that.
And there's a lot of things you could get cheaper. You could get
Yeah.
cheaper in the community, get cheaper with, like I was making a point with one of my gym trainer, right? I was telling him, I say, my problem with the government system is all the time you have people doing things for you almost free, next to nothing. But when funds come in to pay for it to be done, you don't want to take the same people.
Yeah.
But all the time they're doing it, okay, and you're well at it and it was going good enough. But when funds are available to pay for it now, you have to go on tender.
But
You have
Larry,
to go on
see,
3 quotes.
that if you have a school board, right, that could be their policy. They will employ people from the community. They will
Yes.
use as much resources from the community. They might have a function.
Yeah.
They will look for a caterer from the community. So the money goes back into the community. You understand? That is
I
the power of
understand.
community development then, in the true sense of the word.
Mm-hmm.
You start to get sports team coming out of the community. Everything will evolve out of the community.
But people need to understand that we're in a situation where everything is going up.
Yeah.
The price of fuel, the price of utilities, everything has been increased. Your salary. Now I want to touch on salary, yeah, but give me a minute. The salaries are fixed income. We have to cut back. We have to go back to more than basics. Right? Buying a chicken in your backyard as long ago. Right? Take the smell of the chicken, mess and live with your chicken in your backyard. Kenneth, this Sunday I was cutting up chicken for Trisha. The chicken so small. And I think she paid out $200 for the chicken. And I saying, look at that, look at the price of chicken and how small it is, the quality of the chicken.
Yeah.
And people had to start going back to planting, eating what they plant. And people will say they don't know space or candidates, but that people planting seasoning in bucket, in containers. And I know people was planting tomato tree and bag tree in bucket. And you know who it was? Was me. I was planting in black buckets.
And it's good for a blind person to operate, you know.
Yeah, and I was getting peppers. I didn't want much. 2 pepper tree, 2 3 tomato tree, you know, and I had about 10 or 15 black buckets around the yard planting. I give it up now and I get Trisha to put flowers planting it.
But Larry, you know, that is something we at blind we could start considering, you know, preparing the bucket with the mixture of the soil that we want.
And give them it.
And not only distribute the seed or but show them, show people how, look, this is the bucket. So all you need is plant and monitor the plant.
Yeah, water the bucket and clean the grass from it.
Yeah, because you might have an idea exactly what the mixture should be.
Yeah, there's a ratio.
Right.
So
yeah.
I was just making the point, people need to go back to basics. You need to go back to minding the fowl in the yard and doing it. And you see, they're leading it from one thing next, because in some communities tell you can't mind animals, but then we go starve.
Yeah.
People have to do something to live. They have something to eat, to consume. And let me get back to the salary issue. The government saying they can't go better than 4% increase, right? But some of the increases are taking place way beyond 4%.
Yeah.
And you and I was making a point today, it's looking as though the government is preferring to give lump sum payments to different sectors rather than give fixed increases. So that
Yeah.
when the prices of or the value of income or the amount of income drops, there is no obligation to maintain that high price because you would have been given a one-off lump sum.
What would is it a divide and rule system where you fix up a section, you fix up the pensioners, you fix up the disability people. So you know, I didn't give you what a few get. So then you can galvanize your support to move forward.
It's possible. All that can be possible. But my thing is, based on our conversation this morning, it makes more sense to give these lump sums than to go and give fixed.
Yeah, because once you set up, say you give disabled people $100 increase. If you think bad or good, you have to give them a turn.
That's the point.
But if you give them the same $1,200 at one time for the year when you have, the year when you don't have, you don't have to give it.
That is the point. And
Yeah.
people need to understand we need to manage our resources.
Yeah.
I remember a relative of mine who does business, right? He tell me, he say, what are you putting your money in the bank for? For what purpose? He say, if you put 10,000 in the bank, at the end of the year, you ain't getting $1,000 interest. But if you take that $10,000 and you buy something and sell it back, before the 6 months done, you might make $1,000 profit.
So Job, they put it this way. You say if you buy a brick in January and you sell back the brick in December, and you put the same amount of money for the brick in the bank in January, and you go back in December, which one you could get more money if you sell it back?
Obviously, it's the brick.
And most likely, money in the bank will be at a minus.
Yeah.
Because the bank would have take your money to keep the account open.
True.
And you see,
Yeah.
like that next thing they're doing, they're going cashless. They're forcing people to open bank account. I think cashless is not the way to go, but there's a control. When you're cashless, they're conducting data on you. So they know what you're buying, they know what you like, they know what to offer you. They're collecting data on you. With data on your hand into the right hand, people could control the thing.
And that's why they call it Data Protection Act.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I mean we have an act, but I don't know how vibrant it is. But
that to protect something is not to protect you, because if they know you on a certain time of the year, they buy certain things. But they see nearly 20,000 people like you doing the same thing. That's data on you to control your behavior.
Now, the point I was bringing about the lump sum payment and the bank and investment is when people receiving these lump sum, rather than just go and buying consumables, things that just to absorb and use up, try and invest it in something. Invest it in something.
You might see that they're going back again to wealth generation. Just like in a house, you're gonna have the nicety after you cover all the other costs.
Right.
Then you could have the nicety and you could either invest it, you could do capital investment, you could go on a trip for it, but you could only do that after you cover the basic.
And then the basic is so hard to cover already.
That's my point.
You might get a lump sum, but they would just be using up in the basic in the first place.
You're right. Because you're probably already in arrears.
I get your point. I get your point. You're already in arrears, so you're just paying up what you're owing.
Right, look good. A lot of people want this 4% back pay, but that's been already, you know. When they get a back pay and they pay up this one, the money lender, well, I don't want to call names or institution, and they pay back this one and that one. That is it. You know, you have
within 2 weeks you're back to square one.
You know, you're not in a better position. And the same as it about a country, we need to increase wealth. How do we increase wealth except waiting for a war in Europe for we to get some wealth to talk about it? Why we are dependent on somebody's behavior on some part of the world instead of we creating our wealth, whether war or not? We creating wealth or we creating something that the world wants. Now look, right now we're talking about, remember we planning the planning stage to train persons who are blind, because they say 1 in every 200 person who doing coding is blind.
Yeah.
If we could get our community to do that and they start to earn and bring in foreign exchange and start to earn, then it will help, and you'll get employment for them and also earn foreign exchange, because a lot of countries prefer come to the Caribbean or other countries to do the work because it's too costly in the country to pay for the same thing. You remember this medical transcription?
Yeah.
That was a big thing in America. When the blind people like in India and Pakistan and other countries had to do it, blind people in America lost work because they were getting it done cheaper somewhere else.
They brought it to Trinidad.
And they couldn't last year because our wage bill is very high.
Yeah.
It couldn't work. It couldn't work.
Hmm.
Because some people might get 500 US in India, so I had plenty money for them for the month.
Yeah.
Very real money. The amount that they could do that 500 US.
Oh, that's all right. They say
Was that?
property tax. Local government benefit from property tax. I hope that really happen.
No, but that amend the law. Why they don't fix up all the regional corporation like the Tobago House of Assembly? Why it must only be Tobago?
Don't know. And they're moving to increase NIS age to 65 years.
They want to do that. Well, no, they want the retirement age to be 65 because they say I think Jamaica, I think Barbados gone that way.
Is it NIS or retirement age?
Retirement age. But somebody was saying NIS already have that system in place now.
No, but there is, yeah.
For 65.
Yeah, isn't this?
Because we know of our NIS consultant told us. He said once you're under 750 contribution, you could collect your lump sum at age 60, then start back paying NIS and collect our next lump sum at 65.
Right, because it's already in place. That 65 years already there. It's
Yeah.
just that now what they may do is not pay at 60.
Right.
You'll have to reach 65 to get it.
Right. And then that automatically when the retirement age will have to change.
Yeah.
You understand? That only come into play because compulsion at 60, you know. For public servants and so on.
How come in every budget is talk about stimulus package to boost agriculture? And you don't ever hear nothing coming from it?
I feel people taking the agriculture joke in this country.
They say tourism, hotel sector get 500 more rooms. To me, I hear that last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember a story your father was saying when I was running pipeline. He said they hope they have water put in them pipeline.
Yeah, I remember that. You
see
talk about a million line of pipe behind.
Right, but you're building more hotel, you have people put in them room.
Well, that's the next point. That's the next point. Then talk about 3% what inflation increase.
Yeah, that would
price
say,
3%. You really feel so?
You see, they just talk them much larger. I just tell people, take a basket of goods 5 years ago and take the same basket of goods this year. And tell me it's only 3% your grocery went to buy.
No.
It can't be. So what them talking about inflation and the real inflation is two different things. They're taking inflation probably in the context of GDP and how much the country earn and spend as a whole, but there are certain segments in this country, their inflation is higher than probably the fella the high-end income inflation is a different inflation to me, you know. The poor man inflation is a different inflation because if he are accustomed to one fixed income and grocery price going up at a certain price, he have a different inflation.
And listen to this, right?
Yeah.
We don't make cereal in Trinidad.
I
Sunshine Snacks doesn't make cereal?
I think so. Yeah,
I think so. Universal brand foods.
Yeah.
And then they make cereal?
I think so.
I see the same tax, 15% tax on oil, cereal, fish, canned fish.
The tax on it?
Yeah. Curry, etc.
Were they trying to cut back on imports?
Yeah. So that to promote local manufacturers. But my question is, that 15% tax is what? Import duty tax? Is it the 15% VAT? And I'd like to know what it was, because
they check throughout the world when you put tariffs to protect your manufacture, you're encouraging inefficiencies.
And the same thing, I'm talking about
Yeah.
reliability.
Yeah.
The same thing talking about
Larry,
transportation.
at that time in the United States, to keep prices down, the state was burning product things, you know, because it was overproducing, you know.
Yeah.
It got so cheap that it didn't worth producing it. And they were
We're
destroying
trying to
it.
ship to sell it.
Yeah. But now because of world trade, if you notice like America, the reason why they probably have some military people is not to fight war, you know, is to protect key shipping points, where that choke points and all kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because you remember America depend on a certain amount of things goods to come to them. And if you have choke holes and you just stop them from monitoring you under pressure, you know,
Yeah.
because riot. So all these military things, people be talking about America, they have more aircraft carrier and so it's not about war, you know. It's protecting trade zones then, the ship free passage then, to make sure these ships pass freely and so on. Because at one time, remember they were hijacking ships and all kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the SEAL team went in and deal with some of them.
That was the Somalian somewhere else in
Right.
Africa.
So protection on the seas is not only about war.
Mhm.
It's about, because right now in Ukraine they have a lot of grains can't leave the country, you know.
Yeah, we remember them. They remember they signed an agreement saying people could ship the grains out and then blow up the port, you know.
Right. You understand? So that's the issue and so on. So
I hear they want to give $1,000 one-off grant to social people for transportation.
Yeah. In January they get the toes.
That one-off payment.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be what in bus tickets or something.
No, they get them cash. We
If
gotta
you
put a
for
name for
transportation,
it.
I'm for food.
Transportation, what people spend on food.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
They talk about the ferry, right? Why people 60 years and over must travel for free? What's the reason for that?
No, by saying why you must subsidize that for? If that's the case, why don't subsidize or that transportation only 10%, but you're subsidizing the 100% going to the bill? So why you must subsidize that for? Because if they don't subsidize, large Tobago is dependent on Trinidad tourism. If they don't do that, it will be so expensive. People wouldn't go to Tobago, they might go Grenada and St. Lucia and all kind of thing. But you know?
Yeah.
And I say, if we had in this country, we had a free where cars could go any part of the Caribbean and drive. I am certain this ferry would make trip to Grenada and other parts of the Caribbean going up.
But this was saying the water taxis they have packed up in San Fernando that just rotting away and sinking and nobody using it because I think it was 4 of them. Was it
Right.
4? Yeah, 4 of them and only running 2. The suggestion was they could have used the same water taxi to do similar trips to the other islands.
Yeah.
But they never did it.
Yeah.
I mean, we went on I think it's a Moonstruck, they call it boat.
Yeah, Moonstruck, yeah. He say go Grenada.
And he say to go Grenada, you're showing us where you go between 2 little points there and you head do that area for about 6 hours and you reach Grenada.
From Tobago to Grenada, how long does it take it?
If from Chaguaramas to Grenada, that's small boat taking 6 hours. How long do you think a big boat will take?
But that, I feel Tobago to Grenada not really far.
Boy, it can't be that long. And I telling you, if you do that, you might get tourism both sides. Grenadians coming here and we go in there.
But that's my point, yeah. And the hotel room, the bill, and they might have to bill more.
But again, it's just not efficient. We're just not reliable.
Yeah.
Wasa gets green light for restructuring.
Yeah, they win the court case. The court get them to move on. But we know that for a long time. Like, I don't know why they cannot court. Union cannot tell management how to manage.
What is that?
Union cannot tell management how to manage.
No. They might try.
Right. And you know, it comes back down to slavery. Somebody was telling about slavery. Management and labor is like slave and master. You know? So slave trying to encroach on master territory and master trying to prevent it from happening.
Yeah.
And that remind me of Mr. T at time, they asked him how he went so much gold. He said, well, I must leave with a higher price.
Who said that?
Mr. T from the team.
Oh,
Well,
oh, oh,
yeah, he said, I must leave at a higher price.
oh. I'm trying to run through article in the papers.
Uh,
That raise the next point we had here.
well, they had about 10 things in the beginning. They dealt with tertiary, they dealt with housing. Housing is
One way
actually
flight to Tobago cost $200. Why we didn't pay any full fare in the first place?
the whole point. Why we don't create an open sky policy where other people can start
Transport.
with a small airline and so. So Larry, two things they're subsidizing or not? They're subsidizing ticket and plus they're subsidizing Caribbean airline. Or not?
I find, imagine a senior is pay $25 to travel to Tobago. Come on now, man.
And I wonder if Central audit auditing them. When last was I get a good order?
Standard ferry tickets.
That gonna buy $25 at all?
Yeah, it costs $75 and a premium is $150. I didn't know ferry have premium and standard.
The first time I learned that today, I didn't know it have a premium.
Where premium is be? On top of the boat?
I don't know. Mr. Kazu might be able to put it in the chat there. You know, he's a budget man. He listen the whole thing.
One-time transport grant. Personal income tax exemption increases. So you move from 7,000 to 7,500.
Yeah, like if you're earning 90,000 less, you wouldn't pay tax.
All right. Some
But
people
I'm
fall in
saying,
that
so
bracket.
why we don't just remove income tax and done the whole thing?
Well, then they will have no income.
No, but they get them from other places. Because if you keep raising it, because you say 350,000 people are going to benefit from it. But I mean, my maths is that you're not supposed to check 350, it's sort of minus who already wasn't paying.
Mm-hmm.
And those who was paying last year, not paying this year, those are the people
who benefited.
Right, but he said the minister said 350,000. I mean, that's the man. So I know so bright like it. But he said 350,000 people benefit. How many
Can things
number
look
of people
nice on your
above that
side,
line?
boy?
Huh?
You think
Where's
looking
that?
good on your side, boy?
Wait.
20,000 healthcare workers.
Yes. That's about 10,000.
Yeah, that smile on your voice now, Ken. Oh God, you're blushing, you know.
Well, I mean, since then, I never moved around my hand out, you know.
Oh, 210 million, you reckon?
Yeah.
20,000, you know, look, if you do that.
But I was telling you about the divide and rule. So that holds the health sector, all the pensioners, all the disability grant people, because disability grant alone is 600,000, you know.
Ken, I will have to hang on your side for Christmas, boy. You will see
I
my few days.
I don't see that at all.
You will see my few days. You will see my few days.
And I fix him a porch in the back for that, you know what I mean? I mean, all the
Well,
fellas complaining long time ago. I mean,
no, well, it's about 5 years building that porch, you know, Ken. So
yeah, well, we should have some improvement.
I remember I listened to a class recording and hear the whole negotiation for a porch construction. You know?
Yeah, that was a piece of stress, yes.
So I know about that porch, you know.
About a serious porch.
What? Is it Tobago get more money?
Than last year, but Tobago saying they're getting up because somebody get, I mean, I think it's 5% of the budget or something. For the overall budget. By I seen 5% they're getting, but a certain capital expenditure is also taking place. The airport. That are coming from Tobago fund. That coming from the national budget, I think.
Me and no partner. Me and trying to understand that.
All I'm saying, take all the regional corporation partner and get them the same arrangement like the bill. So the central government will have less to do it and give them the money to fix their own road and all kind of thing, their own URP, their own everything.
But me hear nothing about the road, boy.
Yeah, there's a set up a road company with 200 million.
To do what?
Remember I was telling you just our company? These are the 3 AGC companies. A road company now. I forget the name if it's a road company call it, but they get $200 million of fixed pothole. So before September next year, we should have go to.
Oh God.
But I check in what percentage of the money will go to pay for the management of that company.
Before we close up with this budgeting, because the issue is budget has been read and we all have to live in this country at the end of the day. and we have to face the consequences. No matter how much you, I, and everybody else talk, it's not going to change it. Unless
Yeah.
we all decide we're not going to work tomorrow morning for the rest of this week and the whole country fail. And we're not going to do that because we have too much higher purchase to pay, too much loans to pay, and we're indebted and we have to work. Right? So all this conversation we're talking here, I'm sure people already have some idea. All of us, everybody talking the same talk, I'm sure. But at the end of the day, what do we do? That is what it comes down to now. What do we do now? We have to find ways to survive with the harsh realities of the increase in cost of living. And I just want to really take away for this budget talk, because it's coming out about 5 to 8, that people need to understand the luxury items they have enjoyed before, they may not be able to do so. If you're accustomed running an AC hole in your house, you have to take it off now. If you just drink milk in your tea morning and evening, drink milk once a day. Because until something don't happen, you don't find a way to cover these costs, you will end up in a vicious, dark, deep hole. Because you will get somebody willing to lend you the money you can to cover those debts, and then you can't pay it. And then all of a sudden, you're in a state of despair.
Then you pass the debt on to your children.
That's the point. You're overwhelmed, you're feeling suicidal, you're depressed, you don't know what to do, you're churning one day, so you can't get, but we have to start inculcating in our families that things cannot be the same. We have to find a way to cut back. And people say, you eat the money. It's not about eating the money, it's about using the money.
Suppose you had the money food before you could attempt to eat it, or no?
That is the point. If you don't have the money, you can't eat it.
If the first thing was having before you could attempt to try and eat it, so you could taste it.
So I just want to take away from that. We need, as a country, as a society, the reality is the only thing we could change is we vote. And we ain't so bright enough to come together to change it again. We have to wait the next 20 years to do that. Because every 20 years, it is how one of them bringing together of the forces to change politics.
And the wind change it.
And they still don't change it. Because you bring them in and don't change it. We made that point last week or week before.
They're changing nothing.
But I want to end on a good note, Ken. I was reading, I think the boy name is Alex. A young boy, a 15-year-old boy, got a medal.
And you get a medal for saving a doctor.
A doctor alive in no man's land in Tobago. And
I
when I was
remember
reading the article, it happened in April this year.
Yeah.
The little boy, a 15-year-old, he's a water hockey or something like that, some game he is playing. And he saved everybody right or wrong, watching this man drowning, the man wife bawling for help, and people watching like, wait, who going there? And when they saw somebody went about 5 feet away from the man and he couldn't reach any person, turned back. He went, 15 years old. And he said when he reached the man, okay, he had on a life jacket, just his wrist was above the water. And he hold on to that man and lift him up and rest his head on top of his chest.
Right.
Swim backward to shore. 15 years old and 2 boatload of people partying there and nobody else, not even the boatmen in them, attempt to save. And
we care.
Whether they care or not, I just want to say kudos to that young man partner.
Yeah. I say
Thank God he could swim, and we had this. According to we had this illusion because we live in an island, everybody could swim.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make a conscious effort to learn to swim properly and my children to swim properly. Because
I grew up in Mayaro, so I know the thing. And in addition to that, we're going to use the opportunity to congratulate Mr. Linko, Joseph Bortola Placilier.
Yes.
And he has lifted the expectation of persons who are blind. And he didn't win extempo once, he won it plenty times.
I think 5 times.
Maybe the first time was because he blinded them, want to say, but to me, all the time he win it on merit. And he did well. And thanks to Mr. Linko. And for standing on the shoulders of great blind men in the past who reached finals, but didn't take it home, like Psycho, huge Monarch finals in the 60s. Almanac did very well in the arena, but he came and he brought home the crown. So he stood on the shoulders of great men in the past.
Yeah.
So congrats to Lingo for lifting the expectation of our community. And he did very well.
And
I wish him all the best. I wish him good health. you know, and he just came over of a COVID issue sometime last year, and he seemed to recover 100%. So I'm happy he's still with us, and you know, you could keep on fighting the fight. So congrats, Mr. Lingo.
And I just want to say something about that. You know, that achievement Lingo had there, it might have been from his efforts, but it's actually a gain and an achievement for the whole community of persons who
Yes.
blind or visually impaired.
Yeah,
So when one of our
Awesome
brothers and
president,
sisters do well, we all look good,
yeah,
you know. And you know, the efforts he would have put out there, he knows it. He knows the sacrifices he made and so on. And I think it was a really nice gesture that he got this president award,
yeah.
right? And you know, the young man, again, I'm saying I'm really proud of this young man, 15
Yeah.
years old, and he saved. And you know
We
what
are
his
hoping young
comments
people.
was?
Yeah, we are hoping young
Yeah,
people.
the comment was, it's overwhelming to know that he saved somebody who might have saved so many other people's lives.
Right, yeah.
You know, and again, I'm really proud of him. So as we
And I
close,
think he and the
Ken,
doctor, they remain good friends, he said, and that was nice.
yeah. So good night, until next
Good night,
week.
everybody. See you all next
Keep
week.
safe. Thank you all for all the best.
Yeah.